So I just bought a ton of Bitcoin, and I'm not sure if it was FOMO or a smart investment. So recently I did a video explaining my history with cryptocurrency and buying back in 2017 at the peak, only to see all of the altcoins I bought go down significantly in value. And in that video I talked about how I didn't even know where the keys were or how much I even had at this point because I'd considered it a sunk cost. Well, a couple of things have happened since that video. Number one, I did find my keys and they're worth a good amount of money. As of the filming of this video today, everything I had bought back then for $50,000 is now worth $35,000. And the majority of that is in Ethereum. All the altcoins I bought back in the day are literally worth nothing. But the other big thing that happened was Bitcoin has gone up dramatically. When I filmed that video at the end of 2020, Bitcoin was reaching an all-time high at $23,000. And I had said that there are many people predicting that it will go to $100,000 in 2021. And at the end of that video, I concluded by saying that I want to invest, but I'm not sure if I'm making a good decision or not. I'm still kind of scarred by my initial 2017 investment and how quickly it went to zero, essentially. It's taken 3 years now to be worth almost what I have into it. But 3 years later, I now understand the crypto world so much better than I did back in 2017. Back then, it was simply about trying to get rich, and that was it. But now I've studied it much more, and I understand what's going on. I also have a much better understanding of what's going on in the US economy and how we're printing all this money. And we're starting to see asset prices everywhere explode, whether it be real estate, whether it be stocks, and obviously crypto. So yeah, I think Bitcoin has a place going forward, and it's definitely gonna be a hedge against all the money printing going on. So here's what happened since that video. Once I actually released it about a week later, Bitcoin was already in the 30,000s. And at that point, I was having serious FOMO because I really did want to buy it at 23,000. But a few days after trading in the 30,000s, it crossed 40,000 for the first time and set a new all-time high. Now, as we know with Bitcoin, it's very volatile. So even after releasing that video, it had already reached new heights into the 30,000. At that point, I was already sold that, man, this is gonna go to where I think it's gonna go. So I opened up a Coinbase account and tried to wire $200,000 into it. Keyword, tried. I went over to my bank, submitted the wire information, thought all was well. I've never once had a wiring problem when I wired for a house, when I wired to pay somebody. They've never denied it. Well, after a couple of days of waiting, I realized that the $200,000 was back in my bank account. And I called up my bank and said, what's going on here? What happened? And they said, we are denying the wire. We do not want to send Coinbase the money. Anytime you go to one of those crypto exchanges, we deny it. And I couldn't believe it. I said, how can you guys tell me what to do with my own money? That doesn't make sense. So I was super mad. Not only for the fact that they're trying to tell me what I can do with my money, but also the fact that Bitcoin was rising like crazy. And I guess that goes back to why there's Bitcoin in the first place. If big banks can control what I want to do with my own money, you definitely need decentralized money like Bitcoin. So honestly, I saw the whole thing as a sign that, you know what? Crypto is the way to go because this is not right that I can't do what I want with my own money. And so even though they denied my wire, I had to go to the next best option, which was deposit daily at my $25,000 limit. And I knew it would take 8 days doing this, which was not ideal, especially with how volatile Bitcoin is, but it was my only option if they weren't gonna let me wire directly. And so I set out depositing $25,000 a day, and during that time, I watched Bitcoin just continue to rise, and I continued to get more mad at the situation. And by the time that I finally got the $200,000 into it, Bitcoin had reached its all-time high over $40,000. At this point, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was pretty pissed. If I would have just deposited back when it was $23,000, I would have doubled my money essentially and been pretty happy. There's a lot of things I could have bought with a $200,000 profit. But as all good investors know, you cannot look at the past in hindsight and just say, what if? All you can do is take advantage of what you have in front of you. And what I had in front of me was $200,000 in my account waiting to be used. And I wasn't about to use it when it was $41,000 at its absolute highest, so I waited. And yesterday, Bitcoin finally, after a big bull run, started to drop. And it dropped all the way down to $35,000. And I publicly said on Instagram stories that I would use the capital once it got back in the 20s. But just talking to other people I know in the industry who have made millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, they advised me that now was the time to buy the dip. They didn't think it was gonna get back in the 20s. And I was debating whether I should buy it at $35,000, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna put my bid in at 31,000, see what happens. If it fills, I'm gonna be really excited at that price. And so I went to sleep last night with that bid in and woke up to a nice surprise. I was now the proud owner of over 6 Bitcoin. Pretty crazy to think about, right? You work so hard to make $200,000 and now you have 6 Bitcoin and a little change. But yeah, I was excited to be able to get it at 31,000, especially after seeing it at 41,000. And at the time of this filming, it's currently trading at 35,000. So if I were to sell it right now, I could make a good chunk of change, but my plan is to hold it. At the end of the day, I'm in this for the long haul. So even if it drops to say $20,000, I'm not gonna panic sell. I'm holding this for the long haul. I really do believe it's gonna go to 100,000 in 2021. The thing that I'm gonna have to decide is at some point, do I want to start taking profits off the table if it goes up to say 50,000? It might not be a bad idea to try and get my initial investment out and then play with the profit. But we'll see. You just never know what's gonna happen with Bitcoin. It could totally drop tomorrow or go on a huge run again and get up to 60,000. I don't know. But I am a believer in it for the long haul, and that is why I'm making this bet today. I am okay if it drops tomorrow because this is not a day trading type deal. This is a long-term bet against the US printing a ton of money and having severe inflation. And to be honest, I know a lot of people are scared of inflation, but as someone who buys assets like real estate, like stocks, like crypto, inflation kind of helps me. It makes all of my assets worth a lot more. So in the end, I'm not too worried about it. The other part of it is my net worth is so heavily tied to real estate, which I'm totally fine with, but it's nice to have some stocks, have some Bitcoin, and some other things just in case real estate, for whatever reason, does not go as planned. And I'll also add, even though I was bummed to not get the Bitcoin at 23K when I made that first video, it actually is kind of a safer investment at 31K right now. And you might be thinking, well, how does that make any sense? Back when I made that video and it was at an all-time high of 23,000, you didn't really know what was possible for it. You weren't sure if you were buying at the peak or if it was gonna go up or what. But the fact that it's already gone up to $41,000 and I'm getting it 25% below that just shows you that, hey, it is possible for it to break these barriers. Back at 23,000, that was the best. And so when you're buying at the absolute peak, it is more risky than what I'm buying at now. And if you disagree with me, definitely comment below, but in my mind, the logic kind of makes sense. But I'm definitely not a professional Bitcoin trader by any means. So don't take my advice and go buy a bunch of Bitcoin and risk your life savings. But if you do care about my advice, here's all I'm gonna say. Number one, I'm pretty much only interested in Bitcoin. I think all the other altcoins are junk and they're all based off of Bitcoin anyway. I also think they're all money grabs and they don't really do anything. Bitcoin is the only one that really makes sense. But if you do want to diversify in the crypto world a little bit, I'll definitely say you should get Ethereum. Right now I do have Ethereum, which is from what I bought in 2017. It's not anywhere close to what I own in Bitcoin. It's only about $30,000, but it is nice to have something else. There are a lot of people who think that you're gonna get a much better ROI on Ethereum this next year. For all I know, they could be right, but I do believe in Bitcoin for the long term. But personally, those are the only 2 coins that I'd be invested in. All this other stuff, I just think is a money grab for all these companies. Another thing I'll mention as it relates to investing in cryptocurrency is only invest what you're willing to lose. I mean, the reality is this stuff could be essentially worthless. The government could try to ban it, people could sell off and it could tank, so do not invest your life savings, and honestly, don't even watch it daily because it is going to stress you out with all the highs and lows. I still do believe that for most people, especially brand new investors, real estate is gonna give you a much higher return. The ability to use leverage in real estate gives you the best cash on cash return. The fact that you can get an owner-occupied home with only 3.5% down, yet gain all the appreciation for yourself is crazy. Just some rough numbers, let's say that you buy a $200,000 home and you put $7,000 down. So you're into this deal for 7 grand. Let's say you buy 7 grand worth of Bitcoin. In 10 years, I would be super surprised if you get a better return on Bitcoin versus your house. The fact that you're paying down your house with each payment, you're getting interest deductions, you're getting appreciation, it makes no sense to me that you would buy Bitcoin over that. I think Bitcoin makes far more sense when you're someone else who's trying to diversify and you've already got other assets. And if we keep having inflation and all of this money printing, that $200,000 house in 10 years very well might be worth $400,000, $500,000. And your $7,000 investment's looking really good. But anyways, if you like these Bitcoin videos, definitely comment below. If you want, I'll keep you up to speed on what I'm doing trading wise so you guys have an idea. Hopefully Bitcoin hasn't dropped significantly by the time I release this video, because then I'm gonna be really embarrassed when I post this. But anyways, if you got value out of this, do me a big favor, go hit the like button. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Go follow me on all the socials. Until next time, take care.